Tomorrow marks 50 years since South Bend learned Studebaker was finished. And it's a perfect reminder that every dead automaker had one last machine roll into the light before the doors slammed shut. Some bowed out with ceremony, others snuck off the line under fluorescent hum and silence. Either way, each final car is a snapshot of a brand's last heartbeat. From luxury titans reduced to badge jobs to moonshot oddballs that deserved a better fate. Here are the exit vehicles that closed the books. Packard Patrician 1958. The company of presidents and penthouse valets ended with a reworked Studebaker in fancy clothes. By 58 the Studebaker-Packard marriage was bleeding out. The real Packard tooling was gone. And South Bend dressed a Studebaker platform in Packard trim and called it Patrician. Under hood, a 289 cubic inch V8 with 225 horsepower, dragging 4,000 pounds of chrome. Inside, leather and wood still tried to whisper Fifth Avenue. But the spell was broken. Just 2,622 were built. When the last two-tone car eased out of the plant in July 58, nobody cheered. They just clocked out. Pride, not engineering, killed Packard in the end. Studebaker Cruiser 1966. You want the Avanti to be the end note? It isn't. The last Studebaker was a burgundy 1966 cruiser with a black vinyl roof built March 17 in Hamilton, Ontario. By then the tooling was tired and the parts bins thin. The 283 Chevy 58 under the hood, reliable as sunrise, was also a white flag. Studebaker couldn't justify engines of its own anymore. The car was basically a tarred-up lark. The plant ran a skeleton crew 20-ish units a day, mixing what was left into saleable sedans. 114 years after building wagons, Studebaker's final car drove off to an executive driveway and a town lost 700 jobs, Nash Metropolitan, 1962. Nash died into AMC in 1954, but the Met kept the badge alive 8 more years. Designed in Detroit, built in Birmingham, England. The last examples were assembled in '61 and sold as '62s, including a coral and white car that looked like candy on wheels. A 1.5L Austin 4 made 52 horsepower, just enough. And the unibody was forward-thinking when Detroit was still bolting bodies to frames. Hudson Hornet, 1957. The name that once terrorized NASCAR with step-down straight sixes ended as a Kenosha-built Nash in different clothes. The final Hudson 57 Hornet wore fins and chrome without the old Hudson soul. AMC V8 power was fine, not fearsome. One two-tone green and white example spent years in a Michigan showroom as a conversation piece while the dealer told glory day stories. Teague Herb Thomas 27 wins in 52. The step-downs are blue chip now. The badge-engineered swan song is a footnote proof of how slow-motion corporate death can dull even a racing legend. Kaiser Manhattan 1955. Kaiser's last U.S. stand was a genuinely interesting car. Supercharged 226 Cub 6, 140 horsepower, wraparound glass, Burley AC, and a safety-first padded dash. None of that could fix the math. The vast Willow Run bomber plant bled cash for a company selling in the thousands, not hundreds of thousands. After the final bamboo, yellow and cream two-tone Manhattan rolled out in early 1955, Kaiser packed for Argentina. Maybe 1,291 were built that year. A few hundred survive. Innovation wasn't the missing ingredient. Deep pockets and a dealer army were. Edsel Corsair 1959. The literal last Edsel was a white 1960 Ranger convertible built November 19, 1959 in Louisville. Hustled off the line with cameras discouraged. But the car that crystallized the failure is the 59 Corsair. Medium Rick ambitions on a Ford base with a 332 V8, 225 horsepower, and the infamous gimmickry steering hub shift buttons had already backfired. Ford spent a fortune aimed at the worst possible recession and discovered the market didn't want a new brand in the mushy middle. From a 200,000 car target to 44,891 in 1959. Then the axe. Ironically, scarcity makes prime Edsels valuable. Failure as a collectible feature. DeSoto Adventure 1961. Chrysler quietly decided DeSoto was redundant, then tiptoed through a 1961 model year that was really warmed over 60s. The final car, a plum and white Adventure two-door, left Detroit November 18, 1960 with a 361 V8, 265 horsepower, push buttons, and power everything. The Adventure had been DeSoto's hot rod flagship. By the end, it was collateral in a corporate shell game squeezed between Dodge and Chrysler. Only 3,034 DeSotos wore 1961 tags before the line went dark. The last one went to a Chrysler exec, then to a devoted collector. A pristine headstone for a brand done in by positioning, not product. Pontiac G6 2010. Performance division by legend. Rental counter sedan by reality. The last Pontiac was a 2010 G6 in white, built November 25, 2009. As GM's bankruptcy triage took hold, a decent appliance, 2.4L 6-speed auto that said nothing of GTOS, TAS, or Grand Prix. It rolled to the GM Heritage Center while a million enthusiasts muttered, "This isn't how Pontiac's supposed to end." Hummer H3T 2010. When gas hit $4, the Hummer hat flipped from hero to villain. GM tried to sell the division to a Chinese industrial firm. Beijing said no. The last Hummer, a black H3T pickup, crew cab, 3.7L 5-cylinder, lockers, real truck chops. Left Schriefeppert May 24, 2010. Practical by Hummer standards, museum piece by timing. Oldsmobile Alero 2004. GM announced the death in 2000 and took 3.5 years to finish the sentence. The final Olds, a dark cherry 2004, rolled out of Lansing April 29, 2004. Worker signatures hidden under its skin. The brand that gave America the rocket Vive 8 signed off with a competent compact. A century of identity undone by decades of aimlessness. Saab 95 2011. Swedish, stubborn and spectacularly unlucky. The last 2011 Saab 95. Silver never left Trollhättan. Bankruptcy froze it on the line. GM sold Saab to Tiny Spiker. Payroll slipped. Suppliers balked. The lights flickered. The 9-5 itself was brilliant. Turbos, AWD, night panel geekery. But brilliance doesn't cut checks. Today, that final car sits like an altar to what-ifs. Scan FRS/TC 2016. Scion's promise, simple, affordable fun, got muddied, then lost. The FFRS co-developed with Subaru was a gem, but it didn't fit the brand's boxy budget image. Toyota pulled the plug in 2016. The last Scion TC was built in August and raffled for charity. FRS lived on as the Toyota 86. Lesson: young buyers care about cars, not sub-brands. Holden Commodore 2017/2020. Australia's beating V8 heart flatlined when the last home-built Commodore, a 2017 SSV Redline, LS3 Thundering, did a defiant burnout on the Elizabeth factory floor. Holden then survived on imports until GM acted the badge in 2020, ending car manufacturing on the continent. A nation that made cars stopped. Chrysler 300-2025. The last American swagger sedan. 2 decades on the same bones, still offering a Hemi, rear drive, and square-jawed presence. When the final 300 rolls out of Bhutan in 2025, it may take Chrysler's soul with it, leaving minivans and a TBD electric future. If you're going out, make it a black V8. Fisker Karma/Ocean 2012/2024. Henrik Fisker's dream has 9 lives and 2 tombstones. Fisker Automotive first died after the Karma about 2000 built and its battery supplier collapsed in 2013. He regrouped as Kaiser Incorporated and produced the Ocean EV until cash burn and chaos caught up in June 2024. The supposed final Ocean, a blue one, sits in limbo. Ownership as murky as the cap table. Betting man's odds say he'll try again. Red flag, Hongqi. CA 770. 1981, the brand that can't die, China State Limousine. The CA 770 ceased real production in 1981. But the Hongqi red flag name is legally immortal, revived and retired in cycles as policy demands. The original hand-built limo, think 50s Imperial by way of Beijing, used a Chrysler pattern V8, suicide doors, and literal red flags on the fenders. Today, Hongqi sells modern luxury sedans to the faithful. The last true CA 770 rests in a museum, a political artifact with hubcaps. That's the roll call of last stands. Glorious, awkward, bittersweet. Some brands went out swinging. Prowler Commodore. Others slipped away as rebadges and rental specials. Either way, every final car is a freeze frame of what a company became when the money, the courage, or the luck ran out. If you dug this, stick around. Next up, we're diving into a wild twist. Communist bloc sports cars that could make Ferrari sweat. Same time sharper elbows.